Anyway, this is, what's in a name? Anyway, this is me. This is I, not someone else. Anyway, code name, Operations Officer Windfall. Real name, I'm not saying. This is 11/12/12. Anyway, and I'm going to recount some fictional history for you. I'll call it future history or past history. So, in 1921, a young woman, came up to Hitler, Germany, and in a beer hall, where he was like drinking beer, which is of course fairly normal for Germans. Hitler had been on the payroll of some right-wing authoritarian people who were trying to rout out the commies, and that's what happened. And then what happened was anyway, the woman came up to Hitler. This has been recorded. This is actual history. You might think, I think so. You might think I'm doing work of fiction. How do you really know? Unless you were there. So 1921, the woman, well, I won't say who their name is, but it's not M, it's not W, and it's not H, it's not L, and it's not T, but it is actually WHO. So, ho ho. The woman comes up to Hitler, and in German, in perfect German, says something to Hitler like, "Hi, sir," or like Guten Tag, something like that. Mein Herr, ich bin the devil. The devil. She says she's the devil. She tells that right straight to Hitler. Now Hitler just got out of the trenches. He's been hurt by mustard gas, etc., etc. He was a corporal in the German army. Anyway, the woman says, "I am the devil," and Hitler looks up at her. Now he's pretty drunk. He looks in her eyes and he realizes she is the devil incarnate. So anyway, then the woman tells Hitler that what he needs to do is go out into the street, and as soon as he's sober enough to walk, and starts preaching his philosophy of basically hating everybody, but especially the Jews, anybody that's non-Aryan, and kind of like drum up support for what would eventually be Hitler's Germany. All right, so now the question is, there's Hitler doing what Hitler does, and there's the devil doing what the devil does. The question really is in terms of loss of life. I mean, is the devil responsible for the Holocaust, or the Shoah? I think that's a burnt offering. See, in Hebrew condition, in Jewish tradition, there's the idea of the Shoah, which is essentially that sometimes the Jews must be sacrificed because the Lord wishes it so. So if the devil was doing the Lord's work by encouraging Hitler, and therefore encouraging eventually the Holocaust, which it probably would have happened anyway because there was a lot of sentiment similar to Hitler's, maybe not quite as virulent. Who was responsible? Was it the devil, or was it God responsible for killing 6 billion Jews? I mean, exterminating them, killing them like rats. Well, I don't know. That's up to God. Now, if you don't believe in God, well, then of course you have a problem, because then you say, well, then nobody's responsible. Or I blame you because I don't like you. Well, you don't like the devil. All right, fine. No. So anyway. But the thing is, though, because of that terrible bloodshed, what came to pass was the creation of the, it's actually a word for it, but I'm not sure what it's called. Anyway, the idea that the Jews must reclaim the Holy Land. And they went all back to Judea, to where currently Israel is, and began to fight to establish the country because they didn't want to experience mass murder again. They didn't want to become victims. So they became a very strong nation, and still are, very resistant to evil. But still, 6 million people so that a nation could be established, just so that people will be motivated. I mean, what kind of crazy goddamn world is that? I mean, seriously, what is it? What kind of world is that? Hello. And for instance, this. All right, some people say, I'm not saying who, but like when World War I began, it was the idea that it was the war to end all wars. That is, there would be no future wars because that war would be so horrible, so horrific. These modern weapons, these grand, great, giant bombs and artillery pieces and et cetera, that no one would fight again because it was too horrible. The carnage was too great. But it didn't happen because we had World War II, and that was pretty goddamn bad. So, but of course, World War I was horrific, the trench warfare, et cetera, et cetera. So, who started World War I? Was some motivating force involved? Was it the devil? Again? Did the devil say, God told me to do this? Anyway, so the devil, let's say the devil. Say the devil's a woman. Or let's pretend the devil's a woman. And the devil goes up to the man who created dynamite, Nobel, and says, you know, you really ought to sell your product to all these countries because they really want to fight. And they really want to fight really hard. And then you get really rich and they'll get really rich and everybody be happy, except a lot of people will die. But the good thing is that there won't be any more wars because nobody will want to fight because the weapons will be too terrible. So Mr. Nobel said, you know, that's a good idea. Will you come with me to help me sell my product? And she said, no, I think you can do it on your own. Besides, I don't know anything about chemistry. So the devil left him alone. And then he went about and sold a lot of dynamite, baby. A lot of dynamite. A lot of TNT. So, which of course caused lots and lots of casualties. And eventually even more. All right. So the question is, who is responsible for these histories? We're looking specifically at the onset of World War I and also the onset of World War II and the consequences. Who is responsible? So I leave that to you, my friend. Anyway. And what I'm responsible for is trying to maintain peace and security in the United States, as I have been promoted, babies. I have now been promoted. I'm not going to tell you what my position is, but I am very high up in the hierarchy now. But don't tell anyone. It's a secret. Really, really secret. Really, really secret. Anyway, I was promoted very recently, in the last few days, and I was surprised, but I guess I was doing a good job. Anyway, and the most important thing is A, the country maintains order. B, people are happy. People have food, shelter, and the basic things of life, plus some extras. Let's all have extras. Anyway, I'm going to have extra victuals or food or some shit. Anyway, bye-bye.